All rise. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. This Honorable Commissioners meeting of Roane County, Tennessee is now in session. Honorable Chairman Randy Ellis presiding. God bless these United States, the great state of Tennessee, and this honorable meeting. At this time, Pastor Don Long will lead us in prayer. Afterwards, please remain standing for the pledge of the American flag. Don.
Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you, Lord, for the privilege that we have in Jesus Christ. I pray for each one here tonight, Lord. We thank you for the golden privilege we have to serve you and to know you. Bless each one here. And God, we give you the thanks for all you've done for us. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. If you have a cell phone, please turn it down. Thank you.
Bill?
Present.
Barry? Rashears?
Here.
Cunningham? East?
Here.
Ellis?
Here.
Jan?
Here.
Hendrickson? He's
here. He's here. He's still here.
Hester?
Here.
Hooks?
Here.
Meadows?
Here.
Moore?
Here.
White?
Here.
Wilson? 12 present, 2 absent.
Right quick, I'd like to get a motion to waive the 12-day rule to fill the vacancy of the Roane County Commission District 2. Motion by Mr. Meadows, second by Mr. Moore. Mr. Meadows.
Got the brother.
Mr. Moore. Any other questions or comments? If not, call the roll, please.
Bell?
Aye.
Rashears?
Yeah.
East?
Here.
Ellis?
Yes.
Jan?
Yes.
Hendrickson? Hester?
Yes.
Hooks?
Just say yeah, Junior.
Yes.
Meadows?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
That's 12 yes.
Okay, the 12-day rule has been passed. The notice was for a public hearing to fill the vacancy of the Roane County Commission District 2 at 6:30 at the Qualls courtroom in regards to vacancy caused by the resignation of Commissioner Alan Hickman to the Roane County Commission. At this point, we're going to take nominations from the floor. Would anyone like to make a nomination?
So I'd like to nominate Greg Ferguson for that position.
I second.
Jerry White, there's needing to be no seconds. Jerry White has made a nomination. Is there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Mr. Moore moves that nomination cease and Mr. Ferguson's elected by acclamation. Mr. Ferguson, step forward, please.
Still need to vote. You need to have a vote.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
We're gonna bring him in.
Now, here's in.
That's Barry.
Come on up there. Come forward. Commissioner. Congratulations once again. I tell you what, let's do this, go right over here. Okay. You can face the audience. I'm gonna hold the Bible. Who's this young man here?
My grandson there.
Put your left hand, you'll raise your right hand.
Appreciate it.
You got it?
You got it? Y'all ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Repeat after me. I, Greg Ferguson,
I, Greg Ferguson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will perform
that I will perform
with fidelity
with fidelity
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
to which I have been elected,
to which I have been elected,
and which I am about to assume.
which I'm about to assume.
I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
to support the constitutions
to support the Constitution
of Tennessee
of Tennessee
and the United States,
and the United States,
and to faithfully perform
and to faithfully perform
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of County Commissioner
of County Commissioner
representing Commission District 2
representing District 2
of Roane County, Tennessee.
of Roane County, Tennessee.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. 14.
The King James Version.
That's You've been running, been late, but
Sign it right there.
we're almost there, though, ain't we?
Yeah.
Soon as told politics away.
We'll get you another one, guys. Appreciate it. Okay.
All right, we'll move right along. Approval of the minutes of the May the 10th, 2010, 2021 minutes. Motion by Mr. Hester, second by Mr. Meadows. Mr. Hester.
Nothing, sir.
Mr. Gann. Mr. Hester.
Nothing, sir.
Mr. Gann.
Nothing, sir.
Any more questions or comments approved as the minutes of the May 10th, 2021 meeting? Not all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Committee, acceptance of committee reports and correspondence. Motion by Mr. Moore, second by Mr. Meadows. Mr. Moore. Mr. Meadows.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moore. I'm sorry.
It's okay, I like
Mr. Hooks.
Do we have a packet for Mr. Ferguson that he could look up
I
now?
have one.
Do you have anything else, Mr. Hooks? Do you have anything else on committee reports and correspondence?
No, concerned about Mr. Ferguson here.
Any more on committee reports and correspondence? Mr. Barrett.
Excuse me. On number 20, I just like to say that Dick Whiteman has been on the planning commission for a couple of years. He was a new resident of Roane County when we asked him really to step up, and he did a great job for us. And I just want to thank him for his service. I hope we can find someone else that will do as good a job as he did. Also, I guess it's number 21, is really where they were talking about our audit. Do we have an employee handbook that fits all of our employees? You know, at one time we talked about a benefit package, but each elected official had so many different ways they were able to handle their own office that we really didn't have.
We have an employee handbook that is general, that covers everyone. However, the only one that you all approve is mine, and then the rest of the elected officials can go to the clerk and the county attorney and have one approved. So we have one that everybody's agreed to that covers the basic federal guidelines of what we have to have covered. And then individual offices can have their own subset of those, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we'd ever.
So it's item number 22 on the agenda. So they have asked us to redate ours and to publish it on the website and let our employees be aware of it. So we're in the process of doing that.
And number 23, I think it was talking about the Kenny Creek Bridge, and I think it said we haven't purchased the rights of way yet.
So that item number 23 that he's referring to is the bridge that takes you down to New Hope. So the state, that is a county bridge, but the state through 2 years ago or so, they basically had that along a number across the state that they said that they would fund. So that's what that letter's about, because if any acquisition has to be made, we will be in part of that acquisition. And so they have sent us the preliminary design, and showing the approach and the exit of it. So that's where we've signed the contracts with them to go forward. The county commission, I think 4 or 5 years ago, we started setting aside a little chunk change, so to speak, in case we had any of these ancillary costs that we'd have to bear. So that the good thing that letter, one reason I filed it is it's a green light, it's under engineering, it's going to be, they're starting to acquire, if they need to acquire any property, will. What you find out, there's probably not going to be any property that has to be acquired. There may have to be some changes in some because it's on TVA property. All that's TVA on both sides, or the counties. So.
Right. And I guess number 27, we were talking about the city of Oak Ridge writing a letter about the Mon building, where they're trying to take that, we lose $46,000, I guess, in property tax.
Yeah, that's correct. So 27 is, and my understanding is that they have backed off. NNSA was going to purchase a building which currently is in private hands and paying property tax. The NNSA was going to purchase it and use it. I think they backed off of that now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Mr. Bell, do you have a question? Mr. Bell?
No, nothing.
Okay. Ariel lets me know that we're back up and running on our iPads. Any more questions for the acceptance of committee reports correspondence? Seeing that, we'll move. They are adjourned. Notaries.
We got to vote on that, Mr. Chairman.
Say aye. I'll say aye.
It's all the
We're voting on the reports and correspondence. Let the record show that Charlotte made it. Motion carries. Notaries.
We have the notaries Jennifer Al-Hussein, Amber Cofer, Cecilia Cook, Lucretia Day, Lindsay Harper, Whitney Hilton, Chassie Johnson, Jessica Kibler, Samantha Organic, Deborah Shink, and Lori Treadway.
Her mic's working, everybody knows that.
So you've heard the notaries. We had a motion by Mr. Hendrickson, second by Mr. Meadows. Mr. Hendrickson.
I just appreciate your willingness to serve.
Mr. Meadows. Anyone else would like to speak on the notaries before they are elected? Just so the younger people in the audience, a lot of times we vote yes and no on a lot of our items, but on notaries, they're actually elected by the county commission to serve the people of the county. Useful knowledge, but useless knowledge, but now you know.
I need to get their address so I can find them.
Motion carries.
Still,
Okay, we'll move on now to a hearing of delegation. This is the time we've set aside for the community to address the county commission. So we ask that you be polite and respectful of each commissioner and each subject we're speaking about. We ask also in our rules that each commissioner has 3 minutes to speak. There will be an exception to that rule tonight. Our 4-H group is here. If you're with 4-H, could you stand up right quick?
That's no fun. Junior.
Wrong leadership.
That's 4-H.
That's 4-H.
That's
4-H wrong leadership. Or Mr. Water.
Sorry.
Anyways, I've spoken with Jessica, and we had someone going to the state speaking competition. She's going to give her speech to us tonight, so we've allotted her a little bit more time. Thank you very much. At this time, would anyone like to address the county commission?
Anna's going to introduce Chloe.
State your name, address, for the record, please.
Anna Johnson, the Roane County 4-H agent. So public speaking is the #1 fear for most of us, but it's also the most important life skill. For most of us, we are adults before we have a true opportunity to speak in front of a group or crowd. 4-H, on the other hand, provides youth early on the opportunity to speak. Most people will also tell you, many of you in the audience and commissioners have probably did a 4-H speech back in the day, that you probably remember your 4-H experience with public speaking. Tonight I have Chloe Murray. Chloe is a sophomore from Oliver Springs High School. She competed last year at the Eastern Region Public Speaking Contest and received 3rd place overall, and then returned this year and received 1st place at the Eastern Region Public Speaking Contest. She had to do a prepared speech as well as an extemporaneous speech. And for those of you that may not know what extemporaneous means, that is a speech topic you were unaware of. And with 4-H, you have 1 minute to prepare and 2 minutes to speak.
She said she was given one tonight, so we're in for a
Yeah,
treat.
okay. I'll let you all decide on that one. So she did exceptionally well at the Eastern Region Contest this year with 1st place. And as a result, she will move on to the State Public Speaking Contest, which is in Nashville, Tennessee at State 4-H Congress. And hopefully many of you went to State 4-H Congress back in the day. So she will get to compete against 6 speakers, well, there'll be 6 total in the 10th grade of the highest public speakers in the 10th grade with 4-H. So there'll be some pretty tough competition, but we're very proud of Chloe and her speech. And so I'm going to turn it over to her and let you all hear her speech. Congratulations, Chloe. We're very proud of you.
This ain't nothing like giving up at 4-H. I'm Chloe. I'm from Oliver Springs, she said, and my speech is basically over how 4-H has helped me through the pandemic. Hello, my name is Chloe Murray. I'm in the 9th grade, and I'm very adamant in 4-H. When the pandemic had first hit, it had confused all of us. Wouldn't you say? This was something new to most of us. And I don't know about everyone else in 4-H, but this had put me in a fuzzle. But when we walked into this, we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into. 2020 was supposed to be the year of greatness. For some of us, it didn't turn out that way. But for me, and maybe even some in this room, I have the help of my past and 4-H to guide me through it all. First thing 4-H helped me with is goal setting. When I had all these crazy thoughts running through my mind about living in a new society, I had to set some goals for myself to put me on the right track. But I wouldn't have been as familiar as I am now if it wasn't in 4-H. When you join 4-H, you set your mind to be the best you can be and do the best you can do. Along with this, you set your heart and soul to be successful. The second thing 4-H helped me with that greatly impacted how I cope with the pandemic is confidence. I know you're all thinking, Chloe, how in the world can confidence help you in the pandemic? Well, as the goals that I discussed beforehand were being accomplished, I gained confidence in what I was doing. This really just pushed me forward to not give up. whenever I used to join or do anything, I always had that small thought in the back of my head to just give up because I'm not going to be capable of doing it right. But because of 4-H, I've pushed past that limit and pushed past that barrier and have complete and utter confidence in myself. The last, but certainly not least, thing that 4-H helped me with is problem solving. When the pandemic had first hit, I was put into remote classes, as were most others. And I don't know about everyone else in here, but I'm at my best when I'm doing hands-on learning. Therefore, this had put me in a predicament, some would say. But I remembered that 4-H taught me creative ways to learn. So I found some things that I could get around the house, because there's a pandemic going on. And I found a new way to study that helped me ace every single one of my classes, finishing the year with the lowest grade of a 97. In conclusion, I'd just like to say thank you to each and every leader, parent, 4-H advisor, or anybody who has helped me along the way. Because without you, I don't know where I'd be at today. Thank you.
Thank you, that's a great speech. Somebody say Jerry White had a speech?
Sir?
Somebody say Jerry White had a speech?
No, sir, I'm just proud that she's from Oliver Springs.
Better watch it, she's coming quick, right?
That's right.
Anyone else like to address the county commission? Anyone else like to address the commission? If so, step forward and state your name and address, please, sir.
Hello, my name is Mike Nielsen. My address is 699 High Street, Canyon City, Colorado. I'm the one that's proposing to put an RV park on Blair Road, and I don't know what else I should say, but thank you.
Thank you. I haven't heard a song in a while.
Oh, it might be a while longer. Unless Dudley can help me. I'm John Dennis, 416 West Wheeler Street, Rockwood. Wow, that was fabulous. That talk by Chloe. I mean, gosh, y'all are probably sitting up in your seats. Y'all are wide awake and alert now. That was just awesome.
Thank you.
I wish to share a few copies of a talk that I heard fairly recently. It was by a man that's called Defending Our Inspired Constitution. We talked about the Constitution of the United States that Mr. Ferguson is sworn to uphold, and all you have. And gosh, it's really great to be in among a tight-knit society like this with you people that really, really care and really care about our community and serve us. And I appreciate that. And you all just do a fine job, and you're just really united. And at any rate, Donald H. Oaks, he was this man studied the Constitution of the United States for 60 years. He's probably 90 or something like that now. But he taught law. He's a professor of law for 15 years, and he was on the Utah Supreme Court for 3.5 years. And he was president of Brigham Young University in the 70s when my wife graduated from there. And I've had some communication with him via letter, and I tried to disagree with him in a manner, but you can't disagree with somebody of his caliber. It's a law. At any rate, I wish to share this with you. He talks about our Constitution. It's actually the oldest Constitution that's still enforced in the world today. And they had one Constitution, I think back in Greece in the early days, and society went well with it. And anyway, since the United States Constitution came about, just about every other country in the world, except for maybe 3 or so, have developed their own constitutions. And I think they've helped make the world a better and safer place for most of us to live. And I've got just 11 copies here I grabbed, and I'd like to, for those of you who'd be interested in reading it, to help yourself to a copy. And I promise you it will be an experience that you'll learn something from. And I know this man is very inspired in his words here, and his remarks. He's a good servant of the Lord as well. Has known a lot about the Constitution of the United States.
If you watch your time, if you'd like to leave some here on the edge of the corner at the clerk's desk,
Okay.
Commissioners, if they're interested, will take some.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address the commission?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Barrett.
we've got another group of young leaders, Roane Young Youth Leadership. Kathy Parks leads this group and does a great job. And I think they're with us tonight. I don't know if one of those kids would like to speak or not, but we're glad to have you with us anyway. Appreciate what y'all are doing.
Mr. Barrett. You still have the floor. Is that all?
Yes, thank you.
Moving forward, now we have county attorney's report.
Well, I wish I could speak as well as Chloe. You did a really good job.
Thank you so much.
And fortunately for you, I don't have a lot to report tonight, other than Glenn and I have about 25 property maintenance cases tomorrow, so we'll let you know next month how those turn out. But that is my report. Does anybody have any questions?
Are you seeing an increase in those property maintenance suits that we're bringing, or is it just me noticing that? I mean, I'm seeing more and more as we log into this, and I don't know that I ever hear back a resolution, okay, this action took place.
Well, I always file the court orders in the packet with the agenda. It's
Yes,
just,
sir.
it's been so long since we've been able to get into court, and that's why you haven't seen anything in several months. But next month, you'll have copies of the court orders from tomorrow's hearing.
Yeah, and I see the court order and everything else and the judgment issue that, that they need to clean this up. But, and I guess, if they don't do it, then Ms. Farnham contacts a contractor, or is it a paid contractor that goes out there and does that work?
What we do is we bring them into court, and generally the court gives them a period of time to clean it up, and then we have a report back. And the majority of them, they get it cleaned up, but the ones that don't get it cleaned up, and this is over a period of several months that we keep taking them back to court. The ones that don't get it cleaned up, then we're authorized to clean it up, and the purchasing office has to bid that out. But it's very rare that we have to contract it out, because most people will eventually comply, and Glenn's office is very good at working with them and directing them on what to do.
But still a lengthy process from the time you enter it to the time you exit.
It's a lengthy process, and of course, we have to file it in Chancery Court, and they just meet here 3 times a year, so.
Thank you, sir.
Councilman,
Yes, sir.
did we ever determine that we were able to file a mechanics lien as such or something? If we went in and cleaned that up, was we able to, something?
There's a process in the statute where if you're just going in to mow or something like that, you can file a lien, but if we're actually removing their belongings, we need to get a court order, so they don't come back on us and say, you took my valuable possessions. So, and the ones that we take to court are the ones where there are things that have to be removed.
And I thought we talked about that once. I wasn't sure if we was able to secure a lien once the final figures or whatever were in there or not. So,
Yeah, if we have to clean it up, we always get a lien. And we had one case set for tomorrow where we were suing to enforce the lien. The property owner decided just to give us the property.
very good, thank you.
Any more questions from the county attorney? If not, hopefully we'll get as lucky with the county executive.
Yeah, so we kind of manage the part of the cleanup process through our purchasing department. And then I don't know that we have a half a dozen liens that we've ever placed. And but we've got probably a few out there that feel we're going to set. But and again to Commissioner Hester we was backlogged because the courts were shut down for so long. I don't, from our standpoint, from what we're paying and seeing out, I don't know that it's a whole lot different than it would have been on typical commission. So a couple of things. We had a work session last Thursday, and there was a lot of people thought that I had asked TVA for the Riley Creek Campground or the lease, but you had two resolutions the prior month that you all deferred to a committee to come back to you all. So I have not asked TVA because I have not been granted that authority yet. So hopefully, I think the Park and Rec meets tomorrow, so you may have some action next month. But that's one reason I brought this up 6 or 9 months ago. This stuff can be lengthy, so we got to kind of get on it and make decisions and go on. The budget status, the budget committee met to actually before this meeting to do some of our final recommendations on resolutions. They will be sent out probably tomorrow, the next day. Next Tuesday, you all should have already seen the notice in the newspaper. We have a public hearing Tuesday at 6 that is held by the budget committee by statute. Immediately following the public hearing on the budget, the budget committee goes in session for any motions, amendments that they may need to do, or anything that we may have discovered we need to tweak between now and then. Following that, we will go into a work session, and then at 7:30, I think, 7 or 7:30, what is it, 7:30? We will go into a commission meeting, hopefully to adopt the 2022 budget. We talked a little bit, I guess, last Thursday, but the budget committee, I want to thank them for the work they've done so far and continue to work, because the budget is a moving and living entity that is ever changing. In front of you, or it's on, I guess it's on your iPad, you had the status of the financials by fund. I was just looking at a few numbers. The property tax, we came in just a little bit better than expected, which is always good. It was less than 1%, of course, which the county department, Connie, they do a good job doing that estimate. We missed, of course, litigation tax because of the pandemic. It's about 75% collection. But those two numbers are about the same. What we lost on one, we gained on the other. Percentage is a whole lot different. All of the funds look like they're performing kind of as expected. If you look at that and study it, you'll find that some funds have collected more revenue as a percentage of what was estimated as others. Some of our funds do have receivables, though. So if you're looking at this, you got to understand all of it. The ambulance department, see, we'll book receivables on it. The general fund has really the only receivables it may have is a few grants, because it's basically property tax that's already in. So you got to understand the individual characteristics of each fund. But if you got any questions, call Connie. Item number 15, correspondence, was just one of several, and I continue to get them. It is people who are in opposition of the Rockwood development, the King Creek So I always take those that come to me, file them with the commission, so you'll know what some of the sentiment is out there. We received another one the other day from a resident who was in the area that was supporting it. So you get them on both sides. Item 17, just FYI, it is something that we had to start doing in the late 90s, and that is in lieu of having money in the bank and in lieu of signing a performance bond or a performance assurance, we signed an agreement with the state of Tennessee saying that we will forever, by and large, maintain the closed landfill. It started out, I think, at a 25-year agreement. They just raised it the other day for another 25-year. They're going into and adjusting all the numbers again. We started out this process, I think it was about a $2 to $4 million closure, post-closure. We spent $2 million to close it. That $2 million, they've been adjusting it up and down. We have recently spent $140,000 for a leachate system down there. Item number 19 is, we don't get many kudos. This goes to Tim Suter. We had an ambulance audit from the state. It's not a financial audit, it's an audit of operations and of the system. And if you read it, it keeps saying it meets or exceeds requirements. So kudos to Tim Suter and all of his staff down there for keeping our ambulances in good and operating order. That is all I have. Be glad to try to address any questions. I love the speech. 4-H did the same thing, didn't do it near as well. Stuttered so bad you probably said the same word 4 or 5 times.
Still done. Mr. Moore.
What is the budget? I got a tax increase or not?
No. Same tax rate. We had a couple of shifts from some funds to the other. We had some rounding, so there might have been just a little bit adjustment somewhere that went up, but by and large, no tax increase.
I don't know if it's supposed to ask you or not. Are we still entertaining an idea about maybe creating a better convenience center in the 7th District?
Yes, we are, and I tried to make call today on the number I had, because we were looking at property down there, and the number we had did not work. So if you find that other number, if you'll let me know. We had complaints. We've had probably more complaints on our trash collection receiving in the last couple of weeks and months, because we're just inundated with all kind of stuff. I had a call today, somebody was complaining. I said, you live in the city, don't you? Yes, sir, I do. I said, well, that's a rural service paid by rural taxpayers, and well, that didn't go over. It didn't make any difference.
They don't understand.
It is getting a lot of, there's a lot of...
It's getting a lot of use. I mean, it's heavily used at our convenience centers. We have had to shut a couple of down last week because we couldn't get the garbage pulled quick enough.
Yeah.
And we had to shut a couple of recycling bins out today, apparently, because the recycling component of it at the convenience center got full. And we just don't have the capability to pull all that stuff that quick. And when you pull it, then you gotta work it up. So we can put it on our yard, but there's just so many hours in a day and so much staff we have. And we're kind of limited in our budget by our staffing. So we're trying to look at all that. Anybody has any ideas, suggestions, give us a call. Just don't complain too much when you call me. Oh, well, that was you that did that last week.
Well, you can look at Glenn's permits and see that we're getting inundated with people moving in. Obviously, there's...
Hey, and one of the biggest things that I hope the public does understand, and I think they do during the pandemic, we started receiving a lot of shipments at our homes, and because of that, we received a lot of cardboard, and we were not prepared for it. in thinking it's going to dip down, it may not. So we're going to have to start addressing some of those, issues of cardboard.
Thank you.
Before I interrupt, could have Mr. Morris, Mr. Hester next. As most of you all know, the school board did meet last week. The chairman of the school board, Danny Wright, they voted to have another joint meeting with the Roane County Commission. I told them that we were in the middle of our budget process, so that's what we're important and focused on, is passing the budget for the Roane County people. I told him that we would look at our schedule. It's looking somewhere around September, October, we'll meet with them. But I did remind them during my conversation, I spoke with Danny Wright, he was the chairman at the time, and the other chairman that escapes me. Right before him.
Right.
Larry Brackett. Spoke with him. The last action item that this commission asked from the school board, because we have a lot of people talking about, what would it cost if we done nothing? How much would it cost to fix it if we had nothing? What would it cost to maintain it if we had nothing? So that's one item we asked as a body to tell us what would it cost if we done nothing and just fixed what we had and maintained what we had, so we can see that sticker price. And the last word I heard on that, they've not started working on that yet. So, but I reminded them we're in the middle of our budget process, but I am looking forward and anxious to have that meeting with them. It'll probably won't be September or October. Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Webb, just remember that.
So,
Yes.
I'm just going to ask, do we have any numbers yet? I know we haven't gotten all of our information about what's going to be available. I think that's probably going to come about the middle of next month. Do we have a figure of about how much, hopefully, that we could transfer from our budget over to our reserve monies from the rescue plan?
Oh, no. So we have a meeting with the comptroller's office Wednesday. Hopefully they'll give us some guidance. As we discussed at the work session last week, we have our capital budgets program. We will now see if any of that can be shifted into the rescue money. I really don't expect to have much answers till, quite frankly, it could be September.
Till you get answers.
Yeah, till I get, so we're, continue to ask, but I'm just going to, we don't know right now. We don't even know right now how to get projects approved or put in the portal to see if they'd be approved or denied. So we're so early in this.
But what we've been doing is we've been putting money back in either to capital or to our general fund reserves.
It would go into capital. It would stay in the capital. The money's in capital, it would stay in the capital. It would not come into our general fund.
Unless we use some things out of the general fund.
Unless at some point in time, if we transfer money to capital out of the general fund, but we're not doing any of that transfers.
That could be a significant number, right?
I mean,
once you look at ambulances and some other things.
So we're getting $10 million, $10.1 million. It would be nice if we could get all $10 million qualified, but even if we do, the amount in our budget that could potentially qualify is less than $1 million. Everything else would be a project that we have in the future capital budget, or a project because our capital needs have changed because of the pandemic. We talked about that the other day about ambulance stations. The ambulance stations were not in our 20-year plan. But once this, I say that, and that's not correct, one of them was, but once we had to exit when we were in because of close proximity to another department in the city, that basically put another one on the flag that we would have never thought of 2 years ago.
So it would affect future budgets.
So it would affect future budgets. So if you say there's going to be a big saving, the answer is no. There won't be anything that's saved here. What we'll be able to do is release some money for future capital projects potentially.
Thank you. What, do you know off the top of your head what the school's allowance is expected to be?
The schools had 3 or 4 different grants. I can't think of it's 3 or 4 ESSER money. 3 of them. Some of them was classroom related. The last one they had, I forget if it was $10-15 million. That's where they're putting roof projects on, HVACs on, and we asked them to give us a briefing on that as soon as they had a chance.
You're not sure if it's 20, 30, 40?
Yeah, they may have totaled, and all 3 of them have received about $20 million, and it could have been 15. It was a lot of money, but there was a lot of needs out there on roofs and HVACs that needed to be done.
Mr. Hester. Thank you. So as we work through the new budget and looking at ahead, so our debt per capita, help me out here, was 621 per capita last year. Do we see an increase in debt in that, or?
Oh, no, it continues. We have not issued any debt. So since 2010, the only debt that I recall us issuing is the $10 million for Oliver Springs, which had $1 million in the jail. We issued that, and we issued the debt during the disaster. We had $10 million allowed, and we only borrowed $2.5 million, and we paid all that out. So what you're seeing now is the debt per capita continues to fall. 2010, we had debt of $50+ million. We are 38. Connie says 38. We may be at 38.
At a population of 52,000,
Yeah.
it's 32,800,000. So what is our total debt now?
It's in the 30s, I think.
Okay, that'd make the math right then, 30 million.
It's in the 30s.
We still have, what, 22 cents or 16 cents coming off next year?
We've got 13 coming off, because some of it came off this year, but it had to be reassigned to capital, because our capital last year had to be assigned to the general fund, because the general fund lost $800,000 because of inmates, okay? You could basically say the money's going to the general fund to replace the $800,000. We lost revenue of $800,000 when we lost our state inmates, but at the same time, that was sounds bad, but it was good, because it didn't cost us $800,000 annually in debt and another $800,000 in more employees. So it was a hard pill to take, but it came at a good opportunity.
The last time we had a tax reduction where it came off like that, when was the last time we gave money back to the taxpayers?
I don't know. We had.
You got the Oak Ridge settlement back then, years ago? Did you give it back, or did you?
You didn't. You didn't. No, and that's a whole nother story I could tell. But when we received the $10 million payment, we were used to spending 1.8 anyway.
I'm talking about like we have, like right now, and so we have 23 cents coming off. When's the last time? Could you research that for me?
We can research that.
Anyone else for the county executive report? Seeing none, we'll move on to special order confirmation approval to appoint Donna Donovich from the alternate position at the full-time member at the Roane County Board of Equalization Bill District 1. The term is expiration will be the same, May the 31st, 2023. We're back on the board, it's working.
Do you need a motion, sir?
I need a motion and a
I make a
second.
motion to accept.
Motion by Mr. Bell, second by Mr. White. Mr. Bell. Mr. White.
I have nothing to add, sir.
Any questions or comments?
You pronounce that name?
Donovich.
Yeah.
She's my neighbor, that's the only way I know. No questions or comments, we'll vote. just gotta log back in and click it.
Mr. Barry, would you like to vote?
Yeah, I would vote yes.
See if that helps.
Confirmation to appointment of Don Leonovich for the full-time zone and appeals district 1 as adopted. Zoning resolution 1 or zoning resolution 6/2106, 0106, resolution of the Roane County Planning Commission recommended the action by the Roane County Legislative Commission on a resolution amending the Roane County zoning map by rezoning map 13, parcel 134-00 from MPH mobile home county map by rezoning map 13, parcel 031.44 from MHP mobile home park to C1 commercial district as requested by Michael Nelson. Motion by Stanley Moore, second by Mr. Hooks. Mr. Moore.
Well, I think that would be, I know people use the mobile home park, but I think, as you know, my vision for Roane County, RVs, wherever you can get a park, to me, I'm for that. I'd like to see, never heard it, we should have some vacant land, because there's a lot of people that travel this area, and it seems to me that every other car in it, that's a camper or whatever, so it seems to be a pretty good business, so I would support it, unless there's any legal challenge to it, council.
Mr. Hooks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I echo Commissioner Moore. Anytime you can bring people into the county to spend money in the county, that's a good thing. The only thing I hope that we don't see is it pushes the little guy out with all of the $200,000 and $300,000 motor homes and the upper class. I hope it's something for everybody. That's what we need in the county, is something for everybody, and I'm sure it will be. And I'm excited about this, and glad to see it happen.
Can I ask Tim a question? How many spaces are you estimate you're gonna have, Mr. Nutter?
Well, kind of got a plan for 2 phases. The first phase, I'm hoping to get 12 to 15, and then the second phase would be an additional 20. So that's the plan.
Good deal. Very good, thank you.
Mr. Moore, you still have the floor.
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions or comments? All right, we'll go ahead and take a vote. Resolution 62101Z is adopted. Old business, seeing none, moving to new business. Resolution 21 or Resolution 62101, a resolution authorizing the amendment of the section of right-of-way as shown on the attached plat data form, hold on a second, attached plat dated October 26, 2020. A motion by Commissioner Moore, second by Commissioner Meadows. Commissioner Moore.
I'm familiar with the individuals that have it down there on Oxford area. I'm good with it. I looked it over, what we've had, so I'm satisfied with it. Now, if you've got something good, I'll support it.
Commissioner Meadows.
I agree with Commissioner Moore. This is off New Hope Road, and it's been recommended by the road committee or everybody who is involved, and it's very good. A letter was in the packet from the surveyor explaining the situation. I'm good with it.
Any more questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll take the vote. Resolution 62101 is, sorry, 02 is adopted. That's right, 01 is adopted. Resolution 62102, a resolution accepting proposal of the Tennessee Department of Transportation to construct a project designee as federal project number BRSTR179, state project number 802-002-2265-94, SU-1, parentheses, US-11 US.
Need to abuse that.
Motion by Mr. Moore, second by Mr. Gann. Mr. Moore.
Well, I think we talked about that earlier. If that's the Caney, I call it Caney Creek or Caney Ford Bridge or whatever. I pulled a truckload of hay across that thing and met a car, so I would welcome that to be about twice as wide as that because it's hard to do. So I have nothing further. I'll give it whatever second. I'm good.
Anyone else? Had a second by Mr. Gann. Any other questions or comments?
Do we have any idea what this might start?
I do not at this time. I do have a meeting on Wednesday with T-Dot, so I'll try to figure it out.
Thanks.
Not we'll take the vote. Oh, you're waiting on me. Resolution 62102 is adopted. Resolution 62103, a resolution to defend, actually I was looking on there, see who to jump on to. It would turn out to be me. A resolution 206103, a resolution to defederalize the Roane County Economic Development Loan Fund. Motion by Mr. Moore, second by Mr. White.
I'll yield over there to the executive. Went through that. I kind of read it.
Yes, so we talked about this a little bit at the last couple of meetings, I think, at least on the reference on the correspondence. This will allow us to defederalize it so we can kind of more manage it internally instead of having all the federal regs on it. So the board voted to recommend to you all that we ask for defederalization.
Anytime we can get the federal government out of our business, I'm for it. You can quote me on that.
Unless they give us money.
And as a side note, as chairman, and I know Chairman Berry, he served on that committee. That's a great program for Roane County. It's a great program.
And we got money to loan if anybody's got a small business out there.
I don't have one.
Why?
I have
nothing to add, sir.
Any more questions or questions or comments? All in favor, go ahead and vote.
We'll get this next motion prevailed.
A resolution to defederalize the Roane County Economic Development Loan Fund has adopted. A resolution 62104, a resolution to place in surplus and one industrial washing machine for the Sheriff's Department. Motion by Mr. Cunningham, motion by Ms. Cunningham, second by Mr. Gann. Ms. Cunningham.
This was brought up at the property committee meeting. It's just one of those things that needs to be done.
Mr. Gann.
I don't need it, sell it.
Sound like Steve Kelly was in the room.
Let's get rid of it.
Any more questions or comments? Call the roll. Push the buttons. 62104 is adopted. Resolution 62105, a resolution to place in surplus 12024 F-350 crew cab dump truck for the highway department. Motion by Mr. Meadows, second by Mr. Wilson. Mr. Meadows.
Same situation as the previous resolution, and it's been to proper committee.
Mr. Wilson.
Nothing to add.
Mr. Easton, as chairman of the road committee, have anything to add?
No, I don't. That's been before the proper commission, everything.
Any more questions or comments? Madam Clerk, call the roll. Take the vote. Resolution 62105 is adopted. Resolution 62106 is a resolution to approve a 3-year letter contract with the vendor registry for the services of bid posting, contract management, and on violating bid services for bid posting, contract management, and/or violating bidding program. You may need to explain that with motion by Mr. Moore, second by Mr. Meadows.
Well, are you?
So I'll defer to our purchasing agent, Lynn Farnham. I can explain that, but she can do a better job than me.
She could probably do a quicker job.
Exactly. We already contract with them, with vendor registry, to post all our bids and do our contract management. We just list our contracts on there, and then they alert us 90 days beforehand. So this would just be a multi-year agreement that would save us a little bit of money, and it will also, if the county commission would approve us doing any online bidding, we would be able to do it through them.
Any questions for Lynn while she's available?
Yeah, is this a state program?
It is not a state program.
Any more questions for Lynn?
So, there's a private entity that checks bidders,
They have a vendor
registry of
list.
bidders.
Yeah, that's huge. And people can register just for our county, or they can register for all the vendors, or all the counties and entities that are listed on vendor registry. But it's how we maintain our vendor list, is we have everybody go there.
Does that registry do anything for me to make me realize who's bidding that is rated or something like that?
No.
Put a bid out? So it's
No, it just notifies
just a bunch
you.
of bidders that you can fly the bid out to and get like RFP.
But now, rest assured that if we have a bid that local people that we know of, we go ahead and contact them directly.
Yeah.
So we make sure they know it.
I understand sometimes you need to have
Yeah.
first bidders or whatever. That's all. I'm just curious about that, what the registry did.
That makes sense.
Well, thank you very
Matter
much.
anything that has on the school road. Cannot go, Katie. Sorry, it was in the side conversation. It's kind of aggravating when you can't go to the bathroom. Anyway, so was you finished up with your question? Was you satisfactory?
Yeah, yes.
Your questions?
Very good.
So we're still on resolution 62106. Did you have anything, Mr. Bell?
Is that similar to gov deals? I mean, is it like, is it?
It's the opposite. We're sending bids out through them
Okay.
instead of receiving them through GovDeals.
All right, awesome.
Any more questions or comments? 62106. Not we'll vote.
Didn't ask you, but I will.
Pardon?
What cost does it do?
I think it's $2,000 a year. It's less than we pay per month.
Thank you.
You take your stuff with you. Resolution 62106 is adopted. Resolution 62107, a resolution to remove to remove vehicles and equipment from the fixed asset list that has been disposed of and is still remain on the fixed assets list. Motion by Mr. Meadows, second by Mr. Hester. Mr. Meadows.
This came through the Budget Committee and was approved to bring to the commission, and I'll defer to Mr. Woody if you'd like to further explain.
Yeah, the biggest thing is we're just going through and cleaning up our records, and some of them had been surplused and sold. We couldn't find the data on it, and some of it was probably put out of service even before we started keeping all of our records. It was just probably 15 years ago, we started keeping fixed asset records, period, in the county. This is just something we're doing a cleanup on.
And if I remember correctly, this was not a finding that we cleaned up.
We did have an audit finding last year because we had some actually school buses that were on the record that had already been disposed of. So
Back on resolution 62108. Resolution allow the Roane County Executive to execute contracts with. Right now, Junior, to get to the seat. So Junior, we're about to vote on resolution 62107, resolution to remove vehicle and equipment from the fixed asset list that have been disposed of that are still remain on that list. Ready to vote? All in favor? Vote. Or vote for that, vote. Resolution is adopted. Resolution 62108, a resolution allowing the Roane County Executive to execute contracts with the Highland Reserve Homeowners Association related to back properties which the subdivision which is governed by the Homeowners Association. Does that make sense to you?
It will. I've been on the back tax committee a time or two, and I think I understand it, but I want to.
Motion by Mr. Moore, second by Mr.
County
Berry.
executive
So we did this for the docks at Caney Creek a couple of years ago. The same thing down at the Highland Reserve. These are some community lots by and large that the owner has no incentive to pay, and the homeowners association needs to have control of them. So with the adoption of this, we will approach the homeowners association and basically do a deal with them that they're not going to charge us any homeowners association fees, and in turn we will give them this property.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
So, was this property sold at the tax office?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you, sir.
It was sold and the period of redemption is lapsed, and it is our property. And it says in the resolution, we have some out there now that the period of redemption has not lapsed yet, but it'll allow us to execute the same.
That we just sold a few
Yes,
weeks
that is
ago.
correct.
Okay.
So we can't do anything with those for a year, but this resolution, in my opinion, gives us the authority to do the same with the property we bought a year ago and the property we bought this year, or the property actually we bought 2 years ago. We didn't have a sale last year.
Right, correct.
I had a second, Mr. Chairman, but I don't have anything to say.
Any more questions or comments on 62108? Not, I'll take the vote. (62108) is adopted. 62109, a resolution establishing the contribution rate to the Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System for legacy employees, those hired prior to October 1st, 2015. Motion by Mr. Berry, second by Mr. Wilson. Mr. Berry.
Yeah, I think it's something we have to do every year to make sure that the retirement system maintains an adequate amount. Now, Mr. Woody has anything to add?
Yeah, that's correct, and I think the last 2 years, or at least a year or so ago, we were paying in more than absolutely required. This is the first time we are paying in that minimum amount. We did that because of concerns in the budgets, but we're in good shape, yes.
You look at places like Knoxville and those places where a lot of their retirement systems, they're upside down, so we've done a good job.
Here's ours is 3.34%, I think is what the number was.
Thank you.
3.35.
Any more questions or comments? If not, we'll vote on resolution 62109. Is adopted. 62110, a resolution to establish a committee reserve. Resolution to establish a committee reserve of $100,000 in the General Fund 101 for changes in health insurance costs. Motion by Commissioner Meadows, second by Mr. Hester. Mr. Meadows.
I yield to Mr. Wood.
So this is just something we're trying to do, kind of progressive in the fact that we recognize every year that we have employees that drop off the plan, employees that come on the plan, vacancies that occur, that the new hire may be family insurance instead of individual insurance. And there's also the rate changes in January, which we never know what that is. So because of all that, all we're saying is we're going to take some of our undesignated money, show how progressive financially we are, to set a number there that says, okay, when we do our budget adjustments, we won't go to undesignated fund balance, we'll go to this commitment, and every year we'll adjust it back to this amount. And the next resolution is the same thing, but it's on vacation that takes place. So I'll speak to both of them once, maybe I'll just speak to the other one next time.
Any more questions on 62110 or 11?
So did our health insurance go up any this year?
It is going up, and I forget the number, about 4%. Is it the budget 4%, which would be 8? So yeah, so we increased it, the budget 4 or 2.
No, we increased it 4% on each.
So we've been really fortunate on the health insurance.
So the expectation is in January we may see an 8% increase.
Oh, so we don't know. We don't know.
We don't know. Yeah. I mean, they meet, and sometimes they decide, and sometimes they come back and adjust it, because it's based upon past performance.
All right, resolution 62110. We'll go ahead and vote. Resolution 2110 is adopted. Resolution 2116, a committee reserved of $50 in the $50,000 in the General Fund 101 for vacation payout.
It's number 11.
Just worded weird. Worded very weird. So I got a motion by Mr. Bell, second by Mr. Gann.
Nothing further.
Mr. Gann.
Nothing further, sir.
Any more questions or comments? No, we'll take the vote. Motion carries. Resolution 62212, resolution to establish a redistricting committee. Motion by Mr. Meadows, second by Mr. Wilson. Mr. Meadows.
I think the resolution says what it needs to say, and it's time to read it.
Two more.
if I understand right, this is done every 10 years, is that not right, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, it's not required that you have a committee. They do recommend it from the comptroller's office. And by and large, we'll have somebody come in here with maps. We will meet probably during the day as the consultant comes in, and we're basically required to keep everything within a 10% deviation. They want us at 5, and we just have to start moving around census tracts, I guess it is. And they recommend Charles Holloway as administrator of election. They also recommend that GIS department, which is Phil James, be on it, the county executive. And then we've got 2 commissioners that we felt could probably meet during the day. And the plan has to be come back before county commission to be adopted.
Any more questions or comments?
I got one. Who's on that committee?
It's Charles Holloway, Phil James, Ron Woody, Jerry White, Mike Hooks. You all can.
I would imagine that maybe somebody from the Kingston District and the Midway District is going to be on that, since they sort of intertwine their spots. Midway comes across the river.
You all welcome to make a amendment to it to add whatever you need to change it. We just need to make sure that Holloway, James, and myself are probably on it. And then
How many commissioners can you have?
why you have all y'all on it. You can have a whole district of citizens, I think. I don't know if we get anything done if the 53,000 Roane County.
Any more questions or comments? We'll go ahead and vote. $621.12 is adopted. A resolution to amend the General Fund 101 for the U.S. Department of Justice Office of Justice's program, Patrick Leahy Bulletproof Vest Partnership BVE grant. Motion by Mr. Meadows, second by Mr. Hester. Mr. Meadows.
This came through budget committee, was approved there, and it's like it says, it's a 50% match.
Mr. Hester.
Nothing, sir.
Any more questions or comments? Not for vote.
Thank you, sir.
Unanimous, passes. Resolution. Switch to the resolution 62114, resolution to amend the general fund, project fund 171AA, the ARP for the American Rescue Program Act Fund. Motion by Mr. Moore, second by Mr. Meadows.
I'm sure we talked about that at the meeting the other night, but our year.
We have received this money, and as such, we need to go ahead and note it in our budget from a revenue side.
Thank you. Good.
Any more questions or comments? If not, we'll go ahead and vote. Resolution 62114 is adopted. Resolution amending the general purpose school fund 141, reflecting changes in revenue and expenditures estimates for the 2021 fiscal year. Motion by Mr. Meadows, second by Mr. Gann. Mr. Meadows.
This came through budget committee, and I'll give it to Mr. Woody.
Yeah, it's just a cleanup resolution. We've got a series of them coming forth.
Mr. Gann?
Nothing further.
Any other questions or comment?
What did, I'm trying to find that on, what was the, net?
56,696,000.
In the,
59,576,000, 59.
I said 56, but I said total revenue. Far right, so I guess.
Yeah, I was looking at the expenditures. Sorry about that. So the two big items on this, because it makes the numbers kind of stand out, is one, they were doing $1 million transfer out of their general reserves. That was going into the capital, I think, because they were needing cash flow. The other was when we adopt our budgets in the general fund, our fund balance has been significant enough that we'll adopt our budget that reflects a revenue less than expenditure, knowing that it's illegal to spend more than you have appropriated and it's impossible to spend 100. What they have to do, because the reserve wasn't high enough, they have to do an artificial revenue. It was $1.8 million as a contribution. That contribution did not come in, so they're having to adjust that out. It is a game we have to play when we adopt budgets. We do it by doing a calculation of how much our variance will be on what's budgeted and what's spent. They have to do it on the revenue side. Now, their upcoming budget, they have enough reserves now that they can do it the same way we do ours. But that shows the biggest variance on the revenues and expenditures is $1.8 million on revenue decrease and $1 million expenditure increase because they're transferring funds out.
Okay, got a motion on the floor in a second, 6:21:15. Do you want the conversation? If not, let's vote. Resolution 621-15 is adopted. Resolution 621-16, a resolution amending the Central Cafeteria Refund 143, Central Cafeteria Fund 143, reflecting changes in the revenue expenditures estimates for the 2021 fiscal year. Motion by Mr. Hester, second by Mr. Hendrickson. Mr. Hester.
Nothing further, number of speakers, so.
Mr. Hendrickson. This is pretty much seems to be a cleanup at the end of the year bill, Mr. Woody.
Yeah, the biggest thing on this is where we charge for lunches. The federal government came in and said nobody has to pay for the lunches unless it's a la carte. We're going to pay for it all. So, we used to have free and reduced lunch that various kids would pay, various kids were free. The federal government said it's all free.
Any more questions or comments?
It's free.
No, but.
Tom, will you go ahead and take the vote?
different way to get there. That's free.
Resolution 621 is adopted. Resolution 621-16 is adopted. Resolution 621-17. A resolution amending the Executive School Program BASP Fund 146, reflecting changes in the revenue expenditures estimates for the 2020-2021 fiscal year. Have a motion by Mr. Hester, second by Mr. Bell. Mr. Hester.
Nothing, math speaks for itself.
Mr. Bell.
Nothing.
Pretty normal cleanup, Mr. Woody.
Yes.
Any more questions or comments? Not, we'll take the roll. Resolution 621-17 is adopted. Resolution 621-18, a resolution amending the Education Capital Projects Fund 177, reflecting changes in revenue expenditures estimates for the 2021 fiscal year. Motion by Mr. Meadows, second by Mr. Gann. Mr. Meadows.
Same as the others, cleanup resolution.
Mr. Gann.
Nothing further, sir.
Mr. Woody, same as others, cleanup resolution.
The only thing here was is some of the disaster money, when we filed it, they received some of it, and that's what they're posting. $103,000 in disaster recovery.
No questions or comments? Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Yes.
Resolution 621-18 is adopted. Resolution 621-19, a resolution appropriating funds to follow for the negotiation and, hold on a second. For the negotiation, papers. For the negotiation and procurement of the property for which currently houses the Dollar General store, which is adjacent to the Roane County Sheriff's Department. Motion by Mr. Tester, second by Mr. Gann. You know I was doing that on purpose. Mr. Hester.
So, do we know what the current owner is asking, or we know a ballpark, Mr. Woody, or that's why we're giving you the authority to enter into the negotiation with them?
Yes. That is correct.
I see how you answered that question, sir. But it would still have to come back to the commission body for the purchase of it.
It'd have to come back to the commission body for the purchase of it because the money has to be appropriated.
Correct.
If you all were to put money in there, then you can negotiate up to
You're
that.
not able to
but
tell
then-
us how much?
No,
Do we need to take a short executive session?
I don't think so. I mean, what was discussed is, let us negotiate, see where we're at, let's go to the bid budget committee, see if the budget committee is acceptable with that. And if the budget committee recommends it, then bring it before the county commission.
Nothing further.
This basically, in my mind, allows us to know whether we need to even negotiate or not.
Yes, sir.
Why the $10,000?
What do I got, Mr. Gann first?
I do first, Mr. Bell.
So generally, when you're doing real estate deals, there's an earnest money that you put down that shows you have some interest in it. I mean, the budget committee talked 15, they talked 20, and we ended up at 10, I think. It basically says, okay, the commission, it allows us to negotiate, and it allows the buyer to know he's got a serious negotiator. I mean, if you were to put $1 here, I don't know that mean anything, but...
Matt Caldwell owns it, correct?
That is correct. Well, Matt, and it was Dick Evans, I don't know whether we got an estate involved, but yes, Matt is the primary owner.
This don't make sense, and pick the phone up and call him and ask him, but I'm sure you've got some deal worked out, I just don't like it, $10,000.
Well, the last time,
Last time we bought it, I mean, we've spent $700 and something odd $1,000 and bought it, and we ended up not having that money left anymore, and we've got a bunch of buildings around it and lots around it. That's what happened last time.
No, we never bought it because at that time...
We appropriated money to buy the Dollar General building years ago.
So we had a resolution that was approved. We were in budget committee.
That said what?
Well, we were in budget committee and somebody that I don't think was even a budget committee member said, well, what do you take for it? And Matt said what it was, so the commission voted on that number that he said, so there was no negotiation.
Okay.
So that resolution was adopted, but it was subject to a clear title. And the problem at the time, as the research was done, is there was a cloud on the title that, in everyone's opinion, 20 years would let that cloud go away. And at the time, we were at 16 years or whatever. So we never could get an agreement that we had a sufficient title, so that appropriation went away.
So we didn't spend that money.
That money was not spent to buy that, and I think we still
What do we do with the
have.
money that we appropriated to spend the Dollar General?
I mean,
Do you remember?
we
Is that what we bought
we
lots?
bought property in and around the dollar store.
Okay. Yeah.
Was what part of it was spent on.
Left a very bad taste in my mouth. That's all I've got.
Mr. Meadows.
In this
I
situation,
think I'm up next.
yeah, he is.
Junior,
He is.
instead of one by Meadows, go ahead.
It's
It's your turn, go ahead.
So what's the purpose of buying this building?
I had a letter that came to me from the sheriff.
And
Based on that letter that came to me by the sheriff that's in the packet, who said that we needed this, it went to Budget Committee, and Budget Committee recommended it.
so what are we needing it for?
You need to ask the sheriff that question.
Well, maybe we should put this vote off until we find out from the sheriff.
He states it in correspondence, correspondence number 24. He has a one-page letter that says what he would like to use it for.
So what's it, how much are we going to have to spend taxpayers' money to bring this building up to suitable for what he's going to use it for? In addition to what it's going to cost us to buy it.
I have no idea what it would cost us to buy it or what it would cost us to rehab it.
Sounds like we got some homework to do before we vote. Start dishing out $10,000. That's all I have.
Mr. Moore.
So we didn't get a clear title the last time. Do we expect to get a clear title?
Mr. Meadows.
Okay, I just want to clarify, this situation, we'll be giving Mr. Woody the opportunity to go out and negotiate sales price, and that negotiation would be subject to our approval, so we're not really even risking the $10,000 because that would just solidify the offer and would come off the sales price should the sale close now. And I think that's kind of where we are. Then it comes back to us, and then we say yay, we say nay.
Does anyone know how many square feet the building is and how many parking spaces come with it?
We got that data somewhere. This parking spots would probably be about 30 or 40 up, I would guess, 30. And I forget what the square foot.
And one of the dollar stores, they're building are 9,000 square feet. I don't know if that's got anything to do with that.
Nothing further.
Okay, now I have Mr. Berry.
I'm sorry, that was my fault. I was clicking on them as the numbers came up. It's Moore had number 1 and then Berry is after that, and then Cunningham and then Bell. That's the current order. It's a little bit confusing, I apologize.
I'm good. Okay. I just want to make sure we got good title, or what makes us think it'll be different. We're a good title now than it was before.
The 20 years, is my understanding.
Okay.
That the statute. Counselor, give us,
Well, let me address that. The problem with this title is Mr. Caldwell and Mr. Evans did not get a deed from the person that owned it. The person that owned it was named Rachel Liggett. They got a deed from a lady named Betty Liggett Staff. There's a document on record in the registrar's office where Rachel Liggett signed a contract saying that when she died, she would will this property to Betty Liggett Staff. And as of 2017, when we last looked at it, there was no will anywhere. Now, the 20 years that has been referred to, there's a statute that says that if you have an interest in property and you don't go to the county and have the property taxes assessed in your name, then it's presumed that you no longer own the property. Now, I personally will not certify title based on that statute. My suggestion is, if you are interested in purchasing this, you need to find out if you can get title insurance covering it. Because I'm not going to certify title for you without the seller filing a lawsuit in Chancery Court to remove this cloud on the title and actually serving these people who are the owners, which would be the heirs of Rachel Liggett. Now, the other thing you can do, if we can find out who the heirs of Rachel Liggett are, and you want this building, we can file a condemnation suit and serve them and let them and Mr. Caldwell and Mr. Evans' heirs determine through the court proceeding who's entitled to what. But, this 20-year statute is what's called defensive title, which means if any of these heirs come forward and file a suit, you've got a defense under that statute, but there's still that cloud on the title that could prevent it from being marketable.
That's like in real estate where you raise your flag on that property, pay taxes and all that. That's kind of where the 20 years comes in.
It's where the 20 years, it's a statute of limitations, but a statute of limitations is a defense.
Yeah.
If somebody sues saying, no, I'm the rightful owner.
Thank you. I'm good.
Who's next, Darren?
Barry.
Mr. Barry.
So, we're going to vote to put $10,000 of earnest money down. And then the budget committee is going to accept an offer. If there is one, if there's one made, it's going to go to the budget committee. So then the budget committee will bring a recommendation to us. Is that?
Yeah, there's no money appropriated to buy it.
I understand, but it just seems like in so many cases, we're already behind. In other words, if the budget committee says we're gonna recommend $450,000 that we buy it, then it's in the public, and it just seems like a lot of times we're after the thought. In other words, the budget committee's making the deals, and then we get to vote on it. So they're really not spending any money. They're asking us to spend the money. They're just making the deal. Could we just not do this in a workshop kind of thing so that everybody knows everything about the deal, and then you're gonna negotiate on behalf of the commission. It just seems like sometimes all we're doing is appropriating money. They're making the deals, and we appropriate the money.
Possibly have the sheriff present.
Well, not only the sheriff, but I think then we can find out more about the deed. There's no need trying to come up with a deal like we did last time. We make a deal, and then we end up with nothing. We probably didn't lose any money last time. We probably didn't lose our owner's money last time, did we?
So would you like to make a motion to put this off till next meeting?
Well, I mean, I don't know that putting it off to next meeting would would serve. But yeah, I'll make a motion, we put it off to the next meeting, just to try to get some more information.
Okay, non-debatable motion, Mr. Berry moves that we defer resolution 62112, a resolution appropriating funds to allow the following negotiation and the procurement of the property which the current house of the Dollar General store, which is adjacent to the Roane County Sheriff's Office. Do I have a second?
If we do, we can vote on this motion, but if we do, it's going to clear the speaker queue, and we just let it be noted that we had 3 speakers waiting. So if you want,
Well,
you have to do the motion now.
the motion we have to is non-debatable, so that when it stops everything. So,
So a motion by Mr. Berry, second by Mr. Gann. And it's non-negotiable.
non-debatable.
Non-debatable, that's what I'm going to say. So we're going to go ahead and vote. It's not debatable, so we're going to have, we have to vote.
I think Junior was the second.
I got it.
Did it get a second?
All right, we're voting now to postpone resolution 621, I'm sorry, resolution 62119 until next month.
Ron Berry read that motion.
I know, it's because Henderson made the second when I was changing the motions, but I'm going to let the record reflect that it was buried. It won't have your name in the minutes, okay?
That'd be fine.
Sorry. We ready?
Yes, 62112. Six 2112 passes.
6/2019.
It was deferred.
6/2019, Ron.
21.
12. Just 12 up here.
That's what it
That and this is the thing.
It was Bill. No, I'm sorry. It
Tell me right.
Resolution 62120, a resolution to amend the general fund 101, animal control fund 121, a general debt service fund 151, rural debt service fund 152, and a highway capital project fund 176, where the changes in revenue and expenditures have occurred. Mr. Meadows with the motion, second by Mr. Nestor.
Another cleanup.
Mr. Nestor. Nothing following. This is just a cleanup resolution, correct?
That's correct.
Any questions or comments? All right, we'll take the vote. Resolution 6/2120 is adopted. Resolution 6/2021, a resolution adjusting the capitalization threshold for the fixed asset of $10,000 to $20,000. Motion by Mr. Gann, second by Mr. Bell. Mr. Gann.
If it would please the commission, the road committee would like to defer this for 30 days. We're going to have a committee meeting on the 2nd of July.
Motion by Mr. Gann.
We'd like to defer.
Motion by Mr. Gann to defer to the next meeting.
Yes, please.
Second by Mr. Moore.
Yeah.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Okay.
Mr. Moore.
I'd like to make a final motion this evening.
Mr. Moore moves to adjourn. Second by Mr. Bell. All in favor say aye. Opposed, like sign.